From the Major Label Debut Podcast Network, this is your MLD News. I'm Graham Wright, and joining me, as always, to break down the latest and most astonishing news events in the world of music is Major Label Debut producer John Paul Bullock. John Paul, how the hell are you, buddy?
I am doing so well, Graham, and so much better now that I get to see your smiling face across the internet. It is it's going to be a beautiful day. It's very early here in Los Angeles, California, and I know it's a little later there in Toronto, Ontario. And I don't know. I feel like we're bridging. It's like sort of a time tunnel between the two of us. And
it's a time tunnel in LA. It's because we're recording this on a Sunday, and in LA it's before church, but in Toronto it's after church.
That's
so we've successfully temporally avoided church once more.
And it's one of the topics I want to bring up today is your favorite church, the Church of Satan, that is ties into today's subject, which is
the big news this day is that I went to a concert. Which is, it wouldn't be news if John Paul Bullock went to a concert. He goes to many concerts all the time. And soon or later, we will have a John Paul Bullock concert rundown spectacular that will be roughly the length of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. I, on the other hand, get out to less gigs now that I'm retired from the gigging lifestyle. But I, along with my family, went to go see Jack White and perhaps more notably, the biggest upcoming band in the universe, it seems, Canada's own, or at least Quebec's own, Angine de Poitrine, who opened for Jack White before going to play another show that same night. I went down to see that concert at Toronto's RBC Amphitheater. That's the Royal Bank of Canada. It used to be called the Molson Amphitheater, later the Budweiser Stage. Now it's sponsored by a bank, which, of course, we all like to think about when we go see concerts. And, it's summer, so this episode is a concert review episode where I'm going to talk about my experience seeing that show.
Well, it is the natural progression from from relatively better beer to relatively worse beer to financial insolvency with the bank. So that does make sense to me in the sort of late stage capitalism place we are at with that. But set the scene for us. What's the venue like? How big is it? Like what was the energy in the air electric, Graham? Was it palpable?
The energy in the air was electric and palpable. The Molson Amphitheater, as I still can't help but call it, is down by Toronto's beautiful waterfront on scenic Lake Ontario. It was sort of adjacent to what was called Ontario Place, which was sort of, like a 70s, 80s, 90s permanent expo style. They have a geodesic dome with an IMAX theater inside it where they'd play educational or tourist-friendly family programming. And there was sort of these things. When I was a kid, we'd go there with school all the time. There was these pods, and one of the pods was called the Lego pod, and it was just full of Lego you could play with. There was one full of video games and stuff. There was a mirror maze. That kind of thing. It's all been closed for decades now and is currently being demolished by Ontario's dear leader Doug Ford to make way for a spa that is owned by a Norwegian company that seems to have obtained the premises under fairly false pretenses. But that's neither here nor there. And the venue remains the same. And it's your sort of classic outdoor amphitheater with covering over the seats and then a lawn section that's uncovered at the back. And you gather there to watch the big gigs that come through town from sort of like, May through October, which is outside concert weather here.
Wow. Okay, cool.
It's all right. So it's annoying to get to. It's on the other side of all our highways, but you can make it if you try.
Did you take public transit?
No. We took a car service, not a car service. We took Uber. I'm just trying to not say we took Uber, but then I said we took a car service, which sounds more, even less of the people. But then we got out of the Uber sort of halfway because there's a lot of road closures right now. People like to say that in Canada we have two seasons, winter and construction, and it's construction season. So the Uber driver himself said, "Why don't I just drop you off over here and you can walk the rest of the way? It'll be faster." And it was.
No, nice. Well, I like it. Good. I like a Uber driver who is looking out for your best
Me
interests.
too. And to walk, then we got to walk past the soccer stadium, which was in the process of having all of the extra seating they had built for the World Cup dismantled. So that was neat to see.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you know. And
Yeah.
then we put our phones in special pouches because it's a Jack White show and you can't have your phone.
The Yonder
The
bag.
Yonder bag, my first experience with the Yonder bag.
Nice.
It was great. I every time my hand went into my pocket to look at my phone and discovered it was locked in a bag, I felt like a little frisson of joy go through my body.
My wife Rachel and I have talked about getting those for our apartment.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Like, come home, put it in the Yonder bag.
Yonder bag sponsor major label debut.
Please, Yonder bag.
So we went to the show because our kid loves Angine de Poitrine, who, if anyone listening to this somehow doesn't know what that is, it is a two-piece instrumental French-Canadian cabaret clown prog band. They're dressed in sort of these black and white polka-dotted, homemade-seeming costumes. There's a drummer and a guitar player that plays a double guitar that's a guitar and a bass and does tons of looping, and they do just weird time signature progressive. I don't know if it's quite math rock, but it's quite mathy. And it is, I would say, even in our broadly permissive and, widening aperture of what's mainstream age, it's pretty left of center. It's pretty, everything about it aesthetically, musically, sonically is unusual. And I was really curious to see how it was going to go down with the Jack White crowd, because Jack White, for all of his, popularity and high Q score among hip, cool dudes like us, is also really popular among just like, sleeveless shirt wearing dudes from the suburbs who know Seven Nation Army, which is sort of the biggest piece of music on planet Earth, maybe at this point, especially during the World Cup. And I kind of was wondering if people were just going to be mostly looking at the stage bemused by this oddball spectacle. And instead, tons of people were wearing like homemade outfits and costumes in the Angine de Poitrine aesthetic. I don't think I've ever seen that venue, which probably fits, 20,000 people or something, completely full for an opening act, but it was completely packed. And all the way from the pit to the very back of the lawn, people were locked in with the Angine de Poitrine show. They hold up their hands in like a triangle formation. And everyone there was like, yes, this bizarre, strange thing is working on me. And it was, I just kept saying, I've never seen anything like this. And it was really beautiful and heartening to behold. And also just, I've realized over the years, probably mostly out of a sense of nostalgia, but I love to watch a band blow up. I remember, Tokyo Police Club had its own little version of that at the beginning, when just every communication you get from your team is about how things have gotten bigger again, and the venues that you had booked are now too small, and the next tour is going to be way larger, and everyone wants a piece of you. And it obviously was a lot of fun to ride that wave personally. And I've since then, now that I know what it's like from the inside, I love to watch it happen from the outside. And it's happening for those guys in kind of the biggest way I've ever seen. And so the gig was great. They're amazing live. It all works. The costumes look cool. The music sounds great. Even being really far away from them in a big venue like that didn't kill the vibe. But more than anything, I was watching the crowd and just watching how much it was hitting with everyone. And, I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast or like before the podcast in one of our long preambles, but we were talking about the new, obsession and backrooms and these YouTube directors who are making movies, and how it kind of feels like finally our stagnant culture is maybe lurching forward in some way to incorporate new voices and new approaches and people from different backgrounds. And I don't think Angine de Poitrine is that young, but watching that show and watching people like it, to me, really felt like that this is the future. this feels a long way away from me listening to Kid A in 2000. This is some bizarre, like, what's the Running Man shit. And I think that's great to see. I like to feel like there's something new out there.
How are the jams? What's your relationship like with the actual music?
I don't know how to comprehend it really. I've only ever experienced it with the visual accompaniment, and they really like the big Angine de Poitrine blow up thing was a KEXP session they did, and that's what I've mostly spent time with is the video of them rocking. It's not the kind of music I really go in for, honestly. It's as I said, instrumental French Canadian prog.
Yeah.
But it's undeniably cool, and the stuff that happens is always sort of surprising and delightful. And it maybe I'm just biased from seeing the visuals first, but it really sounds like they look like. So that's my take on the music.
You're not going to buy a split fret microtonal guitar?
They have their own signature guitar now that they've made.
No doubt, no doubt.
And it looks like it's just like a Stratocaster shape with a P bass shape on the bottom. So I don't know what's really, if it's on a weird tuning or if it's just cool playing. But have you spent a lot of time with the music? I've never heard you really talk about music like this either. It's not, doesn't seem like it's in either of our exact wheelhouse.
I've listened to all the records. I like them. I think I probably listen to more instrumental rock centered music than you do. But mine comes mostly, as fans of the show will know, through basically 50s instrumental stuff into surf rock, and then later on into modern dance music. Like it's funny because I keep thinking about this band in terms of Daft Punk as a kind of reverse Daft Punk. Like it's not very danceable to me. It's very and also I think it is in the direct lineage of shreddery nerd guitar music that's like Yngwie Malmsteen and Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and Polyphia and these guys, where like there's a type of core rock and roll nerd that I don't exactly overlay with, but I respect, and the Venn diagram of their interests and the Venn diagram of my interests are interlocked or layered in a way where a lot of things I'm into. It's like a friend of the show, Brendan Dean, shout out Brendan Dean, who is an incredible guitar player and in a zillion great bands, including Gut Void and Wexler's Prime and Puke Wraith and all these awesome Toronto metal bands. He understands all this subgenre information that is really impressive. He can play with a technical skill that I will never even approach, and has incredible taste, understands things super well, but it is just like a different set of knowledge than I have. And so, and I could see that it is in this band too. It's like the stuff they're doing is impressive. I love the feeling of it when I'm listening to it, but it's just sort of not exactly the thing that makes my heart sing the most. And so I respect the hell out of it. And like you said, I love a success story. Like I love that these guys have they picked a series of really good gimmicks, and they're playing them out in a way that's like not embarrassing. It totally working, and people want it. The theatricality of it, the kind of insideriness of it. Like if you know what it is, you know what it is, and you can go along with, you could hop on this train right now and go on the journey with him, and then be like Brendan, a giant fan of another great Canadian prog band, Rush, or like that to me is like Rush is like the version of that becomes internationally successful in a kind of profound, larger, like reaches popular culture in a different way because they had pop hits, but most of their music, I feel like, to the average rock and roll listener, is probably a little more opaque than, um, and this certainly I think is more opaque than that. But uh, we've talked some trash in the past about technicality. Both of us or technical flashiness, or like showing off your skills,
Mhm.
and this to me does not actually feel like that. It doesn't feel like unnecessarily shreddy.
I
Uh,
agree. And I think there's also an element of like a lot of the stuff you just referenced, Polyphia and that sort of thing, has always come across to me as very slick. It
mhm,
sounds slick, it looks slick, and nothing about Angine de Poitrine seems slick. The
mhm,
costumes look very handmade. The guitar kind of looks like maybe they made it themselves. You know,
mhm.
it looks like they're working when you see them play. You can see the drummer's eyes looking at the mouth of his funny mask. And the music doesn't sound that expensively produced either. And I wonder if that, there's something humanizing about that that lets people look at it and say, wow, they're doing really good because they're people doing really good, as opposed to, some kind of guitar god who's effortlessly shredding away. And it's like, there's nothing to grab onto there. It's so slick that it just has no friction on the outer surface.
Yeah, and what an amazing natural pairing with Jack White, who also
Mhm.
comes from, speaking of pairs, a duo that had that kind of raw, unpolished, and also visual gimmick driven, um,
Yeah.
like kind of presentation. I think that I don't think that band would exist without the White Stripes.
And what an elegant segue into the Jack White portion of the show, which I found to be much less interesting intellectually simply because it was predictably really good. And it was really not a huge spectacle. I saw Neil Young and Crazy Horse play at that venue, I think last summer, and it reminded me a lot of that. It was very unadorned and it was a four-piece band. There was no one back there like holding down all the other parts on seven keyboards or anything. It was just Jack White playing guitar, a drummer, a bassist, and like an organ player, basically. And they were playing the rock and roll songs great. And they had some room to roam, and Jack got to riff and do great guitar heroics. But also you heard all the songs you recognized, and it just killed. I wouldn't have had it any other way, but also I don't have that much to say about it because at this point, I think we all know what we're getting from Jack White, and he is delivering it reliably and with panache. Uh, and it was great. We honestly didn't stay for the whole set because it was a heat wave and we were mostly there to see Angine. But
Oh, so
what we saw, we
you'd
loved. And
seen you'd seen the White Stripes before, or seen him before?
I never saw the White Stripes, and I had never seen Jack White
Oh,
until
wow.
this time, much
But
to my regret. I wish I'd seen the White Stripes, man.
no Seven Nation Army though for you then, so you didn't.
I know
Interesting.
I would have had to send my family home without me.
Yeah, yeah.
And
The
if
race.
the venue was more centrally located, I would have
Hmm.
felt less guilty doing that. But it's really you're going off on an odyssey to get home. So we
Well, what's your relationship like with the most recent? Had you heard Frozen Charlotte, the new record, before you went into it?
yeah, I listened to it. I listened to it like I've listened to most of the stuff he's done sort of post. Honestly, his first solo record, which I can't even remember the name of, the one with 16 Saltines on it,
Hmm.
I really loved. And when it came out, sort of like hit me right in the gut, and I spent a lot of time with. And then whenever his next solo record came out, I was just otherwise occupied and sort of honestly kind of like I did with the White Stripes. The last couple of records, I just sort of was elsewhere. And I hear the single on the radio constantly in Toronto. I assume it's kind of like that everywhere.
Hmm.
And it rules. That's what he opened the show with.
Hmm.
It was great to hear it. But it's just it's funny. It's one of those things that I think it's great. I love that he's out there doing it. I have so much respect for Jack White as in every way, and I think that all of the things about him that maybe 20 years ago I was inclined to roll my eyes at a bit, the things that seemed a little unnecessarily um sacred or whatever, I have aged really well as our culture has progressed as it has progressed. And it's just great that we have this elder statesman holding it down, um, making records, both as like a recording artist, but also as a record label owner and literal record manufacturer. And I love Jack White. I also don't really feel any need to spend that much time with his music. What's your zone there?
I think I'm a bigger fan currently than you are, but I feel that I've had almost the exact same journey with it, where like I've gone through periods where, like every other band that has a long catalog and a long that you have a kind of genuine relationship with, there I fall in and out of love with it. And I probably in the last 5 years, I saw him for the first time. I think I talked about it on the podcast last year, and but I had bought the new all the new records, and really they do yield a lot of surprisingly great, like kind of non-blues rock things come out of it. But I also went back to those later White Stripes records, and I really got into them as well. And I, it's just hard to be such a linear fan of things, and like and so it actually felt great because I was like, oh, there's all this stuff here that I didn't fully investigate when it came out. I kind of listened to it, liked it, and moved on. And that really was productive for me, I think, in terms of my like not just fandom, but really genuinely enjoying like understanding his creative journey a little bit more. I was really impressed too, speaking of duos, to see that he had picked up Twin Temple, the satanic Ameripolitan kind of retro act, another duo from getting kicked off of Charlie Crockett's tour, when all of a sudden they were like I don't know if he made a announcement about it, or if there was press in it that was like they like Satan or whatever. It's like the whole gimmick of the band. I mean, it's interesting that they're another like visual that have a unique visual presentation, a duo. They're doing a kind of retro thing, very similar to the other two bands we're talking about. But I also saw that friend of Major Label debut, Brendan Bork, is now their publicist, and getting them the best press coverage I've seen in a while for any act, where it's just people love to talk about Satan. They love to put up cool pictures of like beautiful people that are dressed in funny outfits.
Yeah.
And the music's good. The new Twin Temple single is good. And I was there. We are going to the LA equivalent of your show, and there's two of them here at a smaller venue, I think at the Palladium, which 3,000 cap room, I think.
Wow.
And Twin Temple was added, or is the opener for the second night. And I was bummed because I've tried to see them a number of times, and a lot of their stuff really, I like the kind of older, polished, ironic country stuff they do. I like the kind of doo-wop tinged or like easy listening stuff, or the croonery stuff. And so I think it's also a really good marriage for him, and he is just excellent at picking opening acts. Like the last time I saw him, he had this band from San Diego, the Schizophonics, come, and they I'd seen them in Pittsburgh one time, also a duo, also. But I guess that it was a three-piece when they were on stage, but I think there's two primary. I think that's right. There may be a power trio, but they were ridiculously great, like just awesome. And he like, I genuinely do get the feeling that he is paying attention to this, as opposed to seemingly Charlie Crockett, who's like is a grade A marquee country act, who's then like, we can't have these like goofy Satan worshipers.
I gotta say, to be scandalized or made afraid by Satan worshiping rock musicians in the year 2026 is kind of the most embarrassing thing I've ever heard in my life. That's I don't know anything about Charlie Crockett, except now I know that I do not respect him.
It has like a Spinal Tap energy to it. Like,
yes.
It's
like remember that Onion article, Marilyn Manson now going door to door trying to shock people?
Yeah.
It's like opening your door to Marilyn Manson trying to shock you and being shocked and calling the police. It's embarrassing. My grandmother would do better than that.
I would see your grandmother's band.
I would see my grandmother's band too.
Would you play in your grandmother's band?
Absolutely. I would do anything she asked me to do.
What kind of music is she making these days?
I got to tell you, most of the time when I go over, the music that she plays is Tokyo Police Club. She
Nice.
has our album Force Field on CD, and whenever I go there, she puts on Force Field, and we listen to it.
That's awesome. Is that
Wonderful.
where you listen to Force Field now almost exclusively?
Yeah, I would say probably the last 6 times I've listened to that record were on my grandma's CD player that we gave her for Christmas when I was like 9 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that.
beautiful. My grandma used to give, this is a final anecdote that has nothing to do with anything else we've talked about, but every year for Christmas when I was a kid, I'd ask for Big Shiny Tunes, which was like Much Music, the Canadian MTV's sort of like Now That's What I Call Music compilation. That was sort of the big 17 songs, half of which had to be Canadian. And that's how I learned about a lot of alternative rock music. And when I was like 10, 11 years old, and I'd get it for Christmas every year from my grandma. And eventually I outgrew it. But then one year, Tokyo Police Club was on a Big Shiny Tunes, and I asked for it for Christmas from my grandma to have, to tie those experiences together. And she gave it to me, but did not look at the back and did not realize that Tokyo Police Club was on it. And so was just bemused by my sudden return to my childhood interests.
I love your grandma.
I love my grandma too.
That's awesome.
She will never hear this podcast. I don't think she knows what podcasts are.
Okay, well,
That's fine. She's like 92 years old. She doesn't use it alone.
It's probably for the best. She'd probably be super into Joe Rogan, I think, right? Like, is that where she get into the manosphere? Like,
that's right. No, my grandma is a lifelong womanosphere.
Okay, she could start her own sphere, a Canadian like equivalent to the manosphere. That's like, I guess there's one of the biggest voices is your who's that Canadian?
Professor Jordan Peterson.
Yes. Sorry, Professor.
I do believe that he has abandoned our fair shores for the freedom and liberty offered by the United States of America.
Really?
I think he's sort of, well, you never know if these guys are actually going to leave. It's kind of like liberals in Hollywood who are like, if Trump gets elected this time, I'm really moving to Canada, and they never do it.
Yeah,
and I think that maybe he had sort of a Trudeau-related meltdown where he said he was going to move to America, but I bet he's probably still walking around here.
In my understanding that Canada has tougher immigration laws than these United States, which make a big deal about immigration laws and have horrible foot soldiers running around, but also it's still like sort of easier to immigrate here than it is for you to immigrate to Canada. Is that true?
And it's my understanding that Professor Jordan Peterson is beset by a raft of archaic health concerns, and in Canada we have free health care, so he may be in an induced coma in one of our beautiful hospitals.
Wow. I hope that he recovers. I guess I'm good.
He seems like he might be frightened by a Satan worshiping rock band too.
Yeah. Well,
he can't even like watch a Disney movie.
And although we did not talk about him much in this episode, as I know we're ending up here, I have a special message for one of our listeners, Stephen Himmelfarb, who we could have talked about a lot in this episode, but we chose not to. And I want you to know, Stephen, we've said this on the podcast before. We are coming for you. You're going to have to come on this show eventually.
We're going to Michael Moore you.
We are. We're going to show up at your house, and I'm going to have a Universal Audio Volt strapped to my chest like Darth Vader, and I'm going to be chasing you with a microphone down the street.
Something for everyone to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. If you get a chance to see the Angine, the Poitrine, Jack White tour, or either of those acts, or either of those acts individually, they get the Graham Wright MLD seal of recommendation.
Fantastic. I'm also glad. What's your next show? What's the next thing you're going to see that you're super excited about?
I don't remember. I'll tell you, I'm going to see Shakespeare's Twelfth Night presented in Toronto's beautiful High Park outdoor natural amphitheater.
That sounds awesome.
Maybe I have tickets to a concert. I honestly don't know. I don't, like I said, it's a news event when I go to a concert. I don't buy tickets to a lot of stuff. Oh, that's not true. I'm going to see some local indie bands on Wednesday.
Nice.
Actually, by the time this airs, I will have already seen Time Hole play live at Toronto's Houndstooth.
Nice.
So let's assume it was great, and I recommend that too.
Awesome. Yeah. Time hole.
Time hole.
Yeah, pro time hole. As I'm pro Twin Temple,
Mind
as I
hole
am
might be mind hole.
mind hole.
God, this is going off the rails. Every MLD kind of goes off the rails at the end now. I
like
feel
it.
like my attention span has gotten too short.
Well, the dots forever, Jack White forever. Thank you, Jack White, for everything you've done. Thank you, Brendan Dean, for everything you've done. I'm glad we got to talk about you for a long period of time. Thank you, Brendan Bork, for everything that you've done. Thank you, Graham Wright, for being so beautiful in your stripy shirt, just like me. I think we did it for the dots.
Yeah, this is as close as we can get.
And yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us talk about this. This has been really fun. I want to tell us in the comments if you like this, if you like us doing these kind of things, because there's a lot more new stuff I want to do, and I want to force Graham to do this with me every day for the rest of my life.
I like talking about concerts, and I want to hear about all the concerts you're always going to. So I know because of the podcast format, it doesn't necessarily work as consumer reporting, because a lot of these tours are well underway by the time we get to talk about them and then post the podcast. But this felt like a fun opportunity to talk about music, and that's always what we're looking for here. So I hope that we can do more concert reviews as a way in to discussions about all the stuff we love to discuss about.
Yes, absolutely. Please.
That's the plan. So keep an eye out for that. And, follow Major Label Debut to hell and back on social media and elsewhere.
Liking and subscribing the whole way down into the depths of Hades.
Like Odysseus himself.
Yes,
we will sail to the underworld, and Jack White will emerge from the black Icelandic sand to give us anecdotes about the making of his latest records.
Which everyone should buy. Frozen Charlotte is good.
Yes, it's really good. And support Jack White. He's fighting the good fight, and we're all about that here at Major Label Debut. That is your MLD news. The show is produced, as always, by my friend, guest, compatriot, and co-conspirator, John Paul Bullock. Thank you. That's right.
I'll dance for you if you can see it. If you're watching this online, I'm dancing.
If you're not watching the video on YouTube, you're missing out on all of our dances and outfits and various backgrounds. So consider that. Josh Hook also produces the show. Josh, we love you.
Love you, Josh. Hi.
Our theme music is by the great Greg Alsop.
Hello,
Greg. I'm Graham Wright. As I said, that's the tale. And don't worry, Major Label Debut will return with more tales, news, analysis, and considerations from the intersection of art and commerce. Hail Satan. So long.
See, I'm not going to say that. Jesus saves. Get yourself to a church. You know what, Graham? I'm shocked. I'm shocked by your love of Satan.
We're going to be posting a Notes app statement about how I've been removed from the podcast, and I will be joining Jack White on tour shortly.
Onward, Christian Soldiers, Major Label Debut, together at last. This is going to become a Bible study podcast from this point forward.
I feel like you could get DC Talk on this show pretty easily.
Honestly, we should honestly try to get DC Talk. DC Talk, if you're listening to this, please come on Major Label Debut. We love your work.
Absolutely. I reviewed a DC Talk concert for my church newsletter
awesome.
When I was like 11 years old.
That's awesome.
Maybe my parents still have it, and I can find it and we can read it.
Was it a positive review, or was it a brutal takedown of the concert?
Yeah, it was a real sort of new atheist Ricky Gervais influenced screed.
Christopher Hitchens style.
I talked about the flying spaghetti monster a lot.
There you go.
I think it was a real 5Ws reportage. There wasn't a lot of column inches. I think it was sort of a folio, one page newsletter, and there's always a lot of news about like the nave renovations and the stained glass to compete with. Nevertheless,
you know what? I'm glad that you contributed to that, and I'll see if I can find a copy of it online so I can start the next podcast by reading your review. Thank you all for listening to us talk about this stuff.
Yeah, especially if you're still listening. Josh Hook is on vacation, so I will not be editing any of this stuff out, and we're all going to enjoy it.
Yeah, speaking of, if this doesn't have its usual audio quality or flair. It's because Josh has no ability to come and help us, and so he is not producing. He is producing this in from a distance, and he does not want his name probably attached to it. So
too bad, baby.
Yeah, sucks to be you, Josh. Here, this is going to taint your sterling reputation.
That has been my relationship with Josh Hook for, I would say, 30 entire years.
So we're bringing him down. The two of us are.
It's more ballast. He's too beautiful. He needs to be humanized by us.
Needs to be
one of us holding on to each
too.
ankle.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's the podcast. Thanks, everybody.